Are you tired of reading or watching all the crazy rich dramas with their inauthentic stories and lifestyles? And maybe you're looking for something a bit more realistic and dynamic at the same time. Maybe you're looking for something a bit more ordinary or relatable. These ordinary lives may not have the glitz and glamour, but they certainly do celebrate everyday struggles and triumphs of people. And the story has compelling elements like resilience, like heartfelt, like empathy, like genuineness and authenticity. So if you are looking for something more authentic and maybe a little bit of something to do with sisters, then I've got a book for you. Let's talk about it. Hello friends, welcome back to Turning Pages. And if you're new here, this is your first time, hello, welcome to Turning Pages. I'm so happy you are here. My name is Aruj, and today we're starting a new series. It's called Coffee Break Book Review Series. Long name, so we're just gonna call it short for Coffee Break Reviews. And this is going to be a series where we talk about books. Well, this channel talks about books, but what this series generally does is that it will review certain books that I find too fascinating not to talk about, and I find a lot of discussion to be had with you guys about these certain books. These books could vary from different cultures, from different dynamics, from different perspectives, from different storytelling. So it could be something really unique about these books, but there is something very compelling about these books that makes me want to talk to you about it and want to discuss these books to you. And of course, I would be recommending these books to you, and I will genuinely tell you what kind of reader I would recommend this book for and what kind of reader may want to avoid these books. Also, because this is going to be my personal review, so I will try to bring in a lot of elements. We're going to talk about different themes, we're going to talk about different cultural aspects if there is in the story, and we're going to try to find what the author really intended to say in the book. So, if this all sounds exciting, let's start with the first book, because the first book that I bought today in the first episode is called Playing Games. This is written by Huma Qureshi, and it is a very, very exciting book. The first time when I read it, I could not stop reading it. I'm sorry about my voice today. It's been 2 weeks, which is why this video is 2 weeks late. And also I would from time to time turn on my fan. It is 32 degrees outside, so please excuse me because it is very hot and I am melting. So while I was trying to find different reviews about what other people have said about this book, there are so many two-liners and 2 words that people like to leave as reviews. So the one review that really resonated with me is written by Jenny Mustard, author of OK Days. And she says that reading Huma Qureshi's Playing Games is a comfort, familiar and tender. The characters are both relatable and infuriating as only sisters are. It discusses art, love, family, and a large non-negotiable life decisions we all eventually face. For everyone who is a sister, has a sister, or wish they had a sister. The way we are introduced to Mira as an opening scene is that Mira is staring at this website and she is procrastinating by counting the flickering sounds of the seconds. As time passes, instead of focusing on writing her story or her playwright, as she has a deadline and she is supposed to finish. And that trait of Mira counting the flickering seconds in her head instead of writing and procrastinating this way is so relatable. If you have ever participated in NaNoWriMo, you will notice that there is also a clock there. And there was one time where I also participated, and I remember instead of writing, I was just fixated with that clock, and I was just it's fascinating to see how fast the time moves by the. Anyway, so we see Mira procrastinating, and then she gets a call, and she immediately knows without even checking the caller ID who this person is. It's Hannah, her sister, and she knows this because Hannah is the person who likes to call instead of text. And Hannah then talks to Mira And the call is very, very interesting because this call tells us more than just the conversation between two sisters. It tells us about the dynamics about these two sisters and what kind of relationship these two sisters have. We are introduced to a lot of other background story as well, but we will get to that in a minute. So in this call, Hannah is very assertive and she is very straightforward, but at the same time, she wants to make sure that she is trying to give Mira an opinion, a say, and she is saying that basically she wants to invite Mira to have spaghetti because her husband, Samir, is cooking spaghetti, and Samir has accidentally ordered a lot more groceries than they need. And so she is asking Mira if she would like, but she is not obligated to in any way or form. But if she would like, she can come over and have some spaghetti with them, which she is not obligated in any way or form, but if she would like. And she keeps repeating herself this way. Now Mira is very much aware how weird this invitation is, and at one point she calls out to Hannah about this, that you could just ask me if I would like to have dinner with you in a normal way. But the way this conversation is happening, and then this defensive way Hannah becomes that, yeah, that's what I have been asking you, that's exactly what I asked you, is setting the tone of the book, that you immediately understand that this is not going to be a straightforward relation. This is not going to be two sisters who have diverse personality or two sisters who don't get along. No, they do get along, but they also don't get along, but they also do love each other, but they also don't love each other. So it's a very dynamic and complicated relationship, and it is very specific to sister dynamics. Mira is basically broke, so she decides that it is best for her to go to this dinner, and she goes to this dinner where she hears this conversation that she shouldn't have. She borrows this conversation, and here is where the plot begins, and this conversation becomes the muse for Mira, and a lot of the plot is surrounded by this conversation that is held at this dinner party. This is what Huma Qureshi has to say about playing games.
I love playing games. Playing games is about two sisters who are similar but very different, and perhaps more similar than they care to admit, or that they will let themselves admit. It's kind of a race on the idea of what you borrow from your sister. So sisters borrowing without asking. It asks that question, what can we borrow without asking when it comes to our lives and their lives? It's a novel about art and creativity. It's a novel about love and motherhood, sisterhood, longing and betrayal. But above all, for me, it's a novel about love. So yeah, I love this book, and I hope readers do as well.
Let's talk about the characters. So there are basically 5 characters, 3 main characters and 2 side characters. The first one, of course, is Hannah, elder sister. Hannah is a graduate from Oxford. She is a very well-known first lawyer in her industry. She is a very competitive, assertive, highly respected lawyer in her field. At one point, there were rumors that she might be offered partnership for the lawyer firm. So Hannah is a very established, well-settled character. She has her job, she has her house, she is married, and now she wants to try to have children. So she is very, very well set in her life, and she has her 5-year goal plan. So she is a firm believer in 5-year goal plans. So that's Hannah. Mira, on the other hand, is a bit more casual. She is a bit more free. She is a bit more into arts, and we found in the very first chapter that they lost their mom 11 years ago, and because of the emotional attachment, Mira could not finish her university, and she was doing her graduation in writing, and she could not finish her degree. And to this day, Hannah does not understand her decision of not being able to graduate. She does not understand why Mira is so emotionally vulnerable, and she does not understand why Mira is still pursuing playwriting and calling that as a job. So to make ends meet, Mira is writing her play and she is working part-time job, and her current job is that she works in a cafe and she is enjoying that. Mira very openly criticized it, and she does not think that this is a real job and that Mira should find a real job and find a career that actually pays off and have a 5-year goal plan. So Mira doesn't pay much attention to Hannah, and she does what she wants to. Now, in order to improve her writing, she is very serious this time, and we see that she really wants to inspire her audience by writing her plays, but somehow she is always stuck in them. She wants to write better, and in order to do that, she has joined a Thursday group to improve her writing. That is all I'm going to tell you about that. We have Samir, who is Hannah's husband. Now, Samir is a very carefree sort of a character. He is a good husband to Hannah. He is supportive of her career and he is supportive of her choices. Samir has a positive impact also in the life of Mira, and Samir keeps asking Hannah to be nicer to Mira, to involve Mira, and Samir has this kind of friendship with Mira. I wouldn't really call it friendship, but it kind of is friendship. So he likes to take care of her as like a older brother, a younger sister. Now, Samir is hesitant to having a child in their marriage, and he does not know what that looks like. The thing is that Samir does not know what it would feel like to be a father, and he is not sure whether he wants to be a father. He is not sure whether he wants to have a child, but he is supportive of Hannah's decision, but himself, he is very undecisive. He is an entrepreneur and he works from home. Again, Hannah is very supportive of his career as well, so they both have very good careers. They are not financially in any problem, which is why the next step in Hannah's plan is to have a child, and Samir is very indecisive about that. His indecisiveness is quite annoying sometimes. That's all I'm gonna. And then we have two smaller characters. So one is the roommate of Mira, who we absolutely hate, Lily. She is an absolutely worst roommate to have. She is disgusting, she is dirty, she is unhygienic, she does not care about other people. She invites her boyfriend and she does not care about the privacy of other people, aka Mira, and she doesn't care whether Mira is writing or sleeping or eating or doing whatever. She will leave clothes and piles and things around, so she is really a very nasty roommate. So there's that. And lastly, we have the love interest for Mira, Dominic. He is also a playwright. He has a lot of experience. Apart from Samir, he's the only other person who actually takes Mira seriously, and he really wants to promote Mira's work and really wants to help Mira out in her playwriting, and he genuinely offers support and counsel for Mira as a mentor and not just as a love interest. So these are the 5 main characters in Playing Games. Okay, let's talk about some of the themes in Playing Games. So first of all, of course, there is the dynamics between sisters. Now, typically, there is always 2 opposite natured sisters, or 2 opposite natured siblings, and they don't go along with each other, or they go very much along each other. The theme of sisterhood in this book is so close to reality. When you are reading this book, you understand that these 2 are not going to be best friends. However, they will kill for each other. If somebody hurt their sister, they will bring hell to that person. And on the front, it doesn't mean that, saying words such as, oh, I love you, I want to be around you, is the only way to express love, but reading the dynamics of these sisters, you see there are so many ways to tell the other person that I care for you, and to tell the other person that you are my family, but that is not the only way why I love you. And sometimes the roles of sister kind of reverse. Sometimes you hate each other, sometimes you become angry on the other sister for reasons that are not just. Sometimes you act more like a mother figure, especially for the elder sister. And that role is very much beautifully described without being overbeared in playing games. And that is why the sister dynamics is so raw, but so beautiful on surface level, on deeper level, and it has so many layers that as you peel off each layer, you feel the complexity and you know it, that it's difficult sometimes to have a conversation with a person that you even feel the most closest to. It is still difficult sometimes to have a conversation with. Another theme that I really like in playing games is that this book is written by an Asian author. And she is a South Asian author, and she has bring themes from South Asian culture, and I am so appreciative of that, because sometimes people can very easily say that, oh, but you know, this thing could have been told, or these things could be said out aloud, or these things are miscommunicated. But there are cultures that make you raise up in a way that you learn how to speak, how to talk, how to say things what are appropriate and how to say things that are not appropriate. So for example, there are things that are contextual, and then there are things that are content. Cultures such as Asian cultures are more contextual cultures, where you rely more on context and say less using your word, and you expect the other person to understand using the context. So we are high contextual cultures, and we are raised in these high contextual cultures. So without saying anything, there is going to be a communication between two people, and the one person is going to say, yeah, I try to communicate that thing to you. And then the other person is going to ask that, when? Even when you're reading, playing games, you as a reader are going to know more about things than the character, because of the way the characters choose to speak to each other. And this is because of the way the South Asian culture is when they decide to talk to each other. They will not tell you every single thing or spell it out, or just say it out. They leave subliminal clues and subliminal context, and they expect the other person to pick up those cues and know what they're trying to say. And these are some things that are again brought in a lot of these conversations that are happening between husband and wife and sister. And I am so appreciative of Huma Qureshi of bringing those things. A second thing, the character of Samir as a husband, I interpreted that as his indecisiveness because of coming from a particular culture. And that is why he is so undecisive, because he is so used to having his decisions made by other people. And again, those subtle cultural context in terms of communication, in terms of character building, in terms of what to keep and what to say, and writing all of those cues in a book form without saying them out aloud is such an art, and I thought that was very tactfully done. So a very big theme in this book is about motherhood, and is about wanting to have a child and not being able to have a child. I think it really brings out a lot of conversation that can be had on being parent and being a mom, or wanting to be a mom when one parent is ready and the other parent isn't. What are the things that a parent needs to do in order to say that I want to be a parent. And should that not be enough to say that I want to be a parent and we decided that we are going to be parents? So why are you backing off? Or it is such a hard topic, and it is so heartbreaking in this context when you see Hannah's frustration to want to be a parent, whereas Samir being so indecisive. And then for Hannah to have those feelings, for Hannah to have that guilt that, am I the bad guy here? Am I the one who's trying to force Samir to have kids with me? Am I the only one who wants to have a child? It is such a deep topic on parenthood, on motherhood, and it is very vulnerable, and it is very emotional, and it is very heartbreaking to see someone going through such a journey with a partner who on paper understands her, but then doesn't understand her. So it's really heartbreaking, and there is so much I cannot say because of spoilers that it's really a very tender topic and a very tender theme in this. Okay, another theme that I want to talk about is the ethics of art. If it is your sister that you are borrowing a conversation, is that okay for you to borrow? And how far can you borrow that conversation? Also, where's the ethical line between borrowing and being inspired of something? I feel like art is very much a reflection of real life, and art just shows you a mirror in which you can see life and you can interpret it the way you want to. But as other things, there should be copyright. I don't know if spoken words cannot be copyrighted. So where does the ethical line of art cross? If you take word for word someone's conversation is borrowing a line from someone word for word, an act of inspiration or an act of copyright infringement. If things are not copyrighted, does that mean they're okay to be borrowed from or taken? And who decides to take them? There is an intersection between inspiration and borrowing, but then there should be also an intersection of ethics, and people who create art should also be thinking about those ethical terms first before moving on towards, in my opinion, their art or completion of their art. So it's a very interesting question about what Mira did, and I would love to know if you have finished playing game. Do you think if you were Hannah, would you have forgiven Mira for what she did, or would you not have forgiven Mira for what she did? Let me know in the comments below. Last thing I want to talk about is my comparison of playing games with Sally Rooney's book. And I think that Sally Rooney writes about normal situations, very matter of life lifestyles, very matter of life situation, and she writes characters in such an artful way that you don't know whether to root for them or not to root for them, and one time you are rooting for them but the next time you are not. And this is also so prevalent in Huma Qureshi playing games, and in my humble opinion, I think she does it better than Sally Rooney because she explored so many themes of sisterhood, of art, of motherhood, of love interest, of ethics, of emotional vulnerability, and at the same time she does it in a way that you don't know whether to like Hannah or to not like Hannah, whether to like Mira or not like Mira, whether to like Samir, not like Samir. You are both hating them and rooting for them and loving them at the same time, and every single character there, it's so difficult to tell whether you will like them or hate them because you do both with them. And every relationship isn't just two-way, it is explosive, it is massive, it is somehow related to third person, to a fourth person, to a fifth person, and we see all of this very artfully done by Huma Qureshi. So I think, in my humble opinion, that Huma Qureshi has done it better in playing games than Sally Rooney has. Before giving my own personal opinion about playing games, here is what Huma Qureshi says about what viewers or readers should take away from reading playing games.
Above all, I want people to remember to read this book and really feel that even though bad things happen, ultimately it's a story about hope. It really mattered to me to write a story that was tender, so I wanted that love to come across, because even though, yes, big things happen in the book and people get hurt, there's a lot of love as well, and that really lifted to me, especially after writing the short stories, which mostly ended quite darkly and quite tragically. I wanted to give something with hope, and so Playing Games is a book about hope. I want people to not think that they know what the story is before they read it, because it's about sisters. And I think there's a lot of stories with the trope of two sisters, very different. I deliberately wanted to make it more complicated than that, which is why they're not just these cookie cutter characters of good sister, bad sister, organized sister, crazy sister. Like it's got more depth. And the last thing, I guess, is that I want you to feel, and I want it to feel real. Like I said, hearing you all talk about it like they're real people, I want the reader to experience the reality of it, and to hopefully sit in that language and all the kind of the craft of it, and to feel like they're transported somewhere else into this like house in North London where a lot of stuff is happening behind their front door.
For me, Playing Games was a very nice domestic literary fiction. I felt the book very intriguing and it was very compelling to read. I loved the reading experience of the book because it just captivated me from the first moment, because there were so many relatable moments in both Hannah and Mira. Again, because I also have a sister, so I think every sister would find something relatable in the logic or the unlogic of the conversations that were happening. And reading Playing Games was so immersive and so fun that I could not put the book down. So I loved the reading experience, and I honestly think that this book has done great sibling dynamics, and the sisters were really given their due. There was no point where I felt that one sister was preferred over the other, and I felt that there was a very neutral tone towards both of the sisters. We were, as audience, so confused as to who to pick as the favorite sister, and we couldn't do that because both sisters had their flaws and both sisters had their own good qualities. At the same time, both sisters had their own passions and their own pursuits, and they had their own life. At the same time, both of them were having hard time and they needed each other, but they just didn't know how to say it. So in my opinion, Playing Games was a solid 4.5 stars, and reading Playing Games was very enigmatic and it had all the compelling elements of storytelling that were needed to be told. The only thing that I would find is the ending. I do not agree with the ending. There are twists and there are turns and there are betrayals and there are secrets and there are friendships that blossom, and there are discussions that are held. So everything else is very, very beautiful, but there are some moments in the ending that I really don't agree to. But that is a very personal opinion. So I think viewers who usually enjoy Sally Rooney, who enjoy Taylor Jenkins Reid, if you're looking for a slice of life book with real life ordinary people, ordinary lives, and a perspective on relationships of different interconnectedness, are going to love this book. And people who maybe want something more action and mysterious and plot turning twists, I would say maybe give this book a rest. This book might not be for you. In the next episode, so for all of my friends who love a bit of fantasy, the next book that I'm going to be reviewing is a bit about dreams. And here's the question for you. If you could buy any dream, what dream would it be? And while you wait for that, do watch my video where I reviewed all of my books in last year. And if there is a book that you want me to do a full review of, let me know in the comments. So until then, friends, stay curious, keep exploring, And remember to subscribe to my channel for more book recommendations and captivating bookish content. And happy reading, friends. And until next time, keep turning pages. Bye!